When I created this show, I had one mission in mind, and that was to cut through the BS, cut through the fluff, bring real conversations with real leaders that have actually done the work. And today, you're about to hear from someone who was at the top of my list from day one when I created this show. You see, Dave Dyson is not just a respected voice in technology sales. He's one of the few people in the space who leads with character, courage, and conviction. He's the kind of guy who speaks truth, even when it's not popular, and does it without expecting anything in return, and that's super rare. You see, Dave built Eclipse Telecom into a global powerhouse while staying true to who he is. And so whether you know him through his love of hockey, telecom, or just being that guy who always keeps it real, today you're going to hear the kind of insight that only comes from 25 years in the game and still grinding. We talked about everything. I mean, we talked about the channel chaos to supplier mistakes, the evolution of partner programs, why too many folks are trying to be all things to all people, and what it really takes to earn the respect and business of a partner like him. We're going to talk a little bourbon, Gretzky, and a whole lot of brutal honesty. So grab your notebook, pour you a little drink, because my guy Dave, well, he's about to put you on game. Let's get into it.
Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. What? Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Yeah. Here to show
Welcome to Shut the Hell Up and Sell, Unfiltered, the podcast that's not afraid to tackle the uncomfortable truths and bad habits that keep you from reaching your potential. I'm your host, Ronell Richards, award-winning sales expert, author, and top influencer in technology channel sales. Each week, I sit down with industry influencers and top performers for bold, honest conversations that are designed to cut through the noise and deliver real, actionable advice that you can apply immediately to grow your career and boost your sales success. No fluff, no excuses, just real talk, real influencers, and real results. Let's get into it.
Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Yeah.
Welcome back to Shut the Hell Up and Sell, Unfiltered. As always, I'm your big brother on this journey, the host, Ronell Richards. And I got to tell y'all, today, all right, I'm going to gush a little bit, okay? I'm going to gush a little bit. When I thought about this show, when I thought about creating this show and the mission that it would serve and the purpose of the show, I got to tell you, this guy that we're sitting down with today, he was top of mind. And there's a reason for that. Dave, as we get into this, I want you to know, I want the world to know, you already know this privately, but I want the world to know that you are someone that I have the utmost respect for in our business for many reasons. But we'll just say the most simple reason, basic reason is that you are someone that has character that I admire. You're someone that, much like myself, is not afraid to speak up and be unapologetically yourself and put yourself in harm's way for others without anything to gain. That is a rare quality, my friend, and I've seen it. I've seen it from you firsthand. And so I want to thank you before we get this thing started. Thank you for the leadership that you've shown in our business and our industry. And thank you for being that advocate for people that don't have a voice. So thank you, my guy, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ronell. I mean, if we're going to do this, you can just keep going. I'll just sit here and we could do this. We could make this the Pumping Dave's Tires show all day.
So here's the thing, Dave. Here's what you can do. You can take that little segment and you can put it on, you can download it and put it on repeat and just listen to that shit all day. There you go. Right. So you always have that Ronell voice. I'll be like your personal Jay Shetty. All right. Hey, as we get into this, man, I want to start with some rapport questions. In our business, a lot of people know who you are or they know of you, but do they know you? Do they know who you are? And so I'm going to ask you a few rapport questions just to kind of get this thing kicked off. And the first one, my friend, Okay. You get to choose one, and I want to know why. Okay. Gretzky, Howe, Ovechkin, Crosby, Lemieux, or Orr. Who you got and why? Only one.
Pretty easy. And yeah, I think a lot of folks may know me as the hockey guy. I played for a very long time. I grew up in Buffalo, and it's sort of like growing up in Texas and being a football player, right? You grew up in Buffalo, you play hockey, and it's Gretzky. All deference to that list of if I was building my own team of up in heaven someday. That's those guys are all on the team, but deference to Ovechkin just breaking the record. But Gretzky is the great one. He's the greatest, and here's why. I still think about this. I can actually flash back to this. I was a young kid. Didn't get to go to many games in person because of the circumstances of just not having a ton of money growing up. But when we went to games, it was always special. And I got to be in the old War Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo as a kid, way up in the oranges, and Buffalonians will know what that means. They used to color code the seats back in the day, and we were up in the nosebleed. And to this day, it's the only sporting event I've ever been to where two things happen when an opposing player took over the puck. Everyone moved to the edge of their seat. And when he did something, the crowd would sort of cheer for an opposing player. I've never seen it before. And it was just this, like, he's got the puck, something amazing might happen. All of those other guys were amazing and genre defining. He changed the entire sport for good for everybody who came after. What's crazy now is an Ovechkin lives in the shadow of a Gretzky. You have these guys at 6'5", 6'6", who are playing like that little guy did back then, right? So now you have these giants who are like, I want to be agile. I don't want to be physical. I want to be highly skilled. And so it's Gretzky 100% of the time, and there will only ever be one great one.
I love that. And nowadays when we live in this world of social media and clips and everyone, they kind of judge different different players from different eras based upon the clips that they see and everything. But here's the thing about the clips. Like, if you were there in those moments, like the special ones, there was an electricity in the air. Like, for me, okay, to get this out of the way, I'm a LeBron guy. I believe LeBron is the greatest player of all time. However, I know. Right? So that's why I didn't ask you that question, because I don't want you to get in trouble when you walk out the door. But I will admit this. Jordan, there was a certain electricity. Every time he touched the ball, you expected something special to happen. There's only a couple players in my lifetime, a few athletes that I know that had that similar thing. Gretzky, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, and Michael Vick. Those are the only guys I know. Every time they touched the ball, like, or they had the puck or whatever, we're just like, oh my God, something special is going to happen. So I'm there with you on the great one. All right, next question. Long day. You're hanging out with me. Okay. We're chopping it up. Are you a cocktail or a cold beer?
I am, and this will warm your heart. I am a good bourbon with good friends kind of guy. If particularly at the end of a long day that needs to be discussed, over a good glass of bourbon. And like yourself, I'm a guy who likes bourbon. And people always say, "What's the best one?" And I say, "The one you're having with a friend on the day." I love it,
but mine is better. Mine's better, and I stole it. Richie, I give Richie Michaels credit for it. Mine is whichever one you're paying for, Dave. All right. Hobby. You're a guy with a little bit of disposable income. So I want to know, what is the hobby that you spend way too much money on?
It's interesting because I try to live a pretty simple existence, but I will open up the wallet for experiential stuff, concerts, travel, eating. Those are my sort of three categories. I don't have a lot of stuff. I'm not a watch guy or a car guy or a boat guy, but traveling around the world and existing out in the world and being in it. Again, hills I'm willing to die on right now. Chicago is the best food city in America, one of the best in the world. From getting a good hot dog or Italian beef to 3-star Michelin restaurants, some of the best in the world are sitting literally right outside my door. I live in the West Loop of Chicago, which has mushroomed into one of the greatest restaurant districts anywhere. And so, like, the fact that I can walk, 5 minutes and be eating in a restaurant that is transcendent it's a thing I'll splurge on every now and again.
I love it. I agree. Chicago, what a great city. What a great city for food and a great city to hang out in 6 months out of the year.
Yeah. Oh, I say it all the time. St. Patrick's Day to Halloween,
right?
There's no better place on earth. There's other months where I'm out living in a van.
Down by the river. Van, no. Every time I use that when we're talking and I say that, because about, the van, and I talk about the van down by the river, like, what that is. But I just lost like 70% of the audience. They're like, what the hell is he talking about? Search it up if you don't know. Saturday Night Live, one of the greatest skits of all time. All right.
And make an hour for the algorithmic Chris.
Oh my God! Yes, 100%. The algorithms know us very well, and if you watch that video, it's going to be like video after video, and that'll be an hour that you'll never get back. But it'll be an enjoyable hour. Okay, I know that you like to exercise a bit, my friend. So let's say that you're going for. What's your favorite way to work out? First of all, what's your favorite exercise routine, or what do you do?
It varies. Movement's the thing, right? I'm a pretty high energy guy. I have my one espresso in the morning. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink caffeine. I almost have to burn some of that off. And so I start my mornings pretty similar every day. I get up, I meditate a little bit in the morning, which is exercising your mind, by the way. Calming down some of the things that are invariably going on from the second we wake up to the second we go to bed. Our minds are trying to keep busy, and so getting it quiet, and then getting out and moving. If I got to pick one thing that I only get to do one exercise for the rest of my life, it's probably riding a bicycle. Love riding my bike. I would have said hockey 10 years ago. I just don't play very much anymore because a lifetime of that sport has left some miles on the odometer here. So I skate once a year, and I raise money for the cancer hospital in my hometown with a bunch of guys I love, Roswell Park Cancer Hospital in Buffalo, for those who know it. And I don't get on the ice too much anymore, but a bicycle, something about it is this joyous place. I don't know if it connects to childhood for me or what have you. It's always felt like freedom. I'm a mountain biker. I'm a jump on a bike and ride around the city guy. Like the bicycle, I don't know, the way it moves you, you feel like you're flying, and you have to be in it. You have to be present. If you don't pay attention on a bicycle, especially mountain biking, by the way, things don't go well.
My wife has a friend that had a really bad accident. Great very experienced mountain biker, but you got to be locked in.
There's a thing that people who mountain bike will understand intuitively, and many of us say and know. The tree always wins.
100%. The older that you get, it wins that much more, right? Like, it's funny, those little tumbles that you could take back in the day. That little tumble you might end up with an ACL tear or a broken collarbone or something now, right? Okay, so my question to you is, all right, you're getting a good ride in, man, and you're just like, you got a hill coming up. All right, I got to get in this hill. You look at your Spotify, your Apple Music. What is that song that you're listening to? What is that that's like, okay, I'm going to go get it? What is that for you?
Oh, my God. Boy, I could take us all the way down a rabbit hole if we start going down the music route here. But
give me an artist, or you can give me an artist, whatever's easier.
Artist, genre, day of the week, how I woke up. I've got an interesting brain. I thought this was a thing for everybody. I wake up with a song in my head every day, and that sort of sets my mood and my tone. And so,
the same song?
No, different song every day. It's like somebody turns the radio on in my brain. It's when I was explaining that to my therapist, she said, "No, that's not everybody at all. Like that's a Dave thing." So music sort of informs a lot of my thinking, my mood, and I'm a big like music for inspiration guy. And
Yeah.
if I'm seeing a big hill, I can go very literal here, right? We could do Kate Bush running up that hill, or I could do like one of my hip hop hype songs, "Victory," by P. Diddy and the Family. Even though we don't love
not
Diddy
so much anymore.
Yeah, but that's one of those. There are certain songs that just will hit, and it could be punk rock or heavy metal. It could be a piece of classical music for me. It could be any one thing. But what it mostly is, I'm like, man, that hill was a lot smaller 10 years ago. That's
why you need the right music to motivate. But I would say that maybe you want to move Diddy out of your playlist. I'm just saying it's not aging well. By the way, I'm so pissed off. I'm so pissed off as a guy that graduated high school in the 90s, and that those are my formative years and all that. Like, why are they screwing up my music? Why are these artists doing crazy things that now I have to remove them from my playlist? And here's the thing, Dave, I don't know what it is for me. Like, I've had this discussion with my brother many, many times about separating art from the artist.
Right.
But when certain things are public for me, it's not even a conscious decision. It's just my brain says, "Oh, Michael Jackson, I'm out. Not really interested.
Yeah.
R. Kelly, I'm out.
Kanye,
Diddy, I'm out."
So I'm going to give you one really interesting one, though, because I actually started talking to somebody who worked in the casino. We were all in Vegas a few weeks ago for the industry thing, and Michael Jackson was playing, and I was like, have we all just like silently agreed to give dude a free pass for some really horrific shit here? And he's like, Billie Jean is such a banger. I was like, it is. But however, I was like, Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, maybe we could be okay with him. We're nuancing Michael Jackson. Talk about a level of greatness where we're like putting on the blinders and being like, yeah, but like MJ stuff is the bomb, right?
It's tough, man. And to be honest, like, a lot of artists got a lot of dirt, a lot of artists that we liked and admire and all that. And Michael Jackson's a super difficult one because his music is literally the soundtrack to 3 generations.
Yeah.
Right? Like
there's an interesting thing there too. I think about this a lot. There's that old maxim, be wary of meeting your heroes, right? They may disappoint you. And then once in a while, you come across somebody and they're so genuine and authentic. And I was really flattered at the beginning because you talked about my authenticity, the vulnerability I moved through the world with. And I'm a very much what you see is what you get guy. And I'm deeply flawed and I make mistakes. Yeah. And I generally try to apologize when I do. But I just had a thing like a week ago. I had this neat opportunity to go to a dinner with 2 like legendary people in the food world, including Rick Bayless, who is sort of it was him and Richard Sandoval cooking together. They were like trading off courses, and I was like, I want him to be the guy from PBS who was like excited about Mexico and introducing us all to like more than just tacos and salsa. And not only was he was that like times a million. And I was like, I'm so happy. It was the equivalent of like everyone who ever met Mr. Rogers and say, you think he's a nice guy. You have no idea how nice he really is. And he was like excitingly explaining this shrimp dish and this particular guy who has like a grill attached to a bicycle on this particular beach 50 miles from some place. And I'm like, oh my God, he's exactly who he is. And it made me so happy.
Oh man. Shout out to Rick Bayless and meeting people that you admire. I won't use the word idolize because I don't love that, but like admire that live up to that expectation. I've had that a couple of times in my life too. Magic Johnson was one of them for me. It's a story that I'll tell another day, guys. But I grew up as a massive Magic fan, and then having the opportunity to meet him in one of the coolest ways possible. Story I'll tell for another day. All right. So now you guys know a little bit about Dave. Likes hockey. He's got eclectic musical taste. He likes to live in a van occasionally.
Sometimes down by the river, sometimes in the desert.
Sometimes it's down by the river. Sometimes it isn't. But what most folks know you as someone that is a super respected voice in the technology channel, someone that, again, as I said at the top, is unapologetic in terms of your opinions, and not just your opinions, but your desire to leave this place better off than when you got here. And so that, to me, that's real leadership. And so again, when I thought about this show and how I wanted to execute it, you're at the top of the list. So now, my friend, it's time for us to get into straight talk. We are at a point in time, I think that you would agree, in our industry where it's kind of an inflection point, right? Like, we've had a lot of success, and that success has brought us a lot of attention, brought a lot of competitors in the space, brought a lot of money in the space. And some of the things that we had been doing in the past to be successful, they're not going to fuel us. They're not going to help us in this next level, in this evolution of the business. And so I could think of no one better than you to start to have this conversation with. So the floor is yours. I need something from you, Dave, that hot topic that's top of mind for you right now. That's an area of improvement. It's an area that this is Big Brother Ronell and Big Brother Dave saying, hey, listen, guys, this is an issue. And then we'll talk about how to address it. What you got?
Oh, man. You can of worms you're opening up. I was going to say, you got to talk to your booking agent. Shutting the hell up and selling are two things I'm actually terrible at. So, but you know, coming out of the Vegas show, one of the things, the way my mind works is when all of us are together in one place, I'm paying a ton of attention. It's not just running from meeting to meeting, which we all do there, and seeing old friends. You know, I always call it my version of a high school reunion, since I've never bothered to go to my own high school reunions. And I love so many of the people there, but I'm always trying to spot the trends technologically, but more so like the vibe of everything that's going on right now. And when somebody asks me, somebody who runs the show, hey, I always like getting the one sentence, you know, what is Dave seeing? And I say, I see a lot of fear right now. And you know how you know that our space, our industry's afraid, because the bravado goes like dialed to 11. Everybody's like, oh, we're killing it. It's so great. It's my reverse channel indicator. When people are chest slumping, I'm like, oh my God, we're about to have a recession. and when people are like, hey man, I'm humble, I'm staying in the grind, that means everything's going great. So it's almost an inverse thing. So there's a little bit of fear right now. And I spoke at the thing. I got to moderate a panel with the TSD CEOs, which was super fun.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I talked about, I sort of put it out there. Can we all stop pretending it's 2018? And I had a friend put this so succinctly and so perfectly, because I asked the people I respect, like, what are you seeing? And he said, everything has changed and it's all still the same. So we're acting the same in spite of the evidence. The evidence is it's all changed. Everything has changed.
Yes. Yes.
Good and bad, by the way. Change in a vacuum is there's no judgment on it. It's good and bad. A bunch of money came in, right? A bunch of outsiders came in who don't really understand how this business works, and they're driving a lot of the narrative in the conversation. I think some of that is bad. I think some of it is good. I have friends who hustled and were grinding for 30 years in this business, who found an exit and were able to capitalize and take money out for their life worth of work in this. I love that. I also think some of the money guys looked from the outside in and said, oh my God, there's guys like Dave Dyson, wildly successful. This guy should be loading trucks, right? So imagine us with our wisdom and our money and our capital and our MBAs from the best schools. We are going to come in and we're going to reinvent and dominate this space. And they miss something really important. It's about the people. It's still about the people. And we're missing some of that people parts because we think now it's just scale and throw money at it and turn those particular knobs. And those things are helpful, by the way. I like that the outside guys came in and they legitimized the space.
Yep.
6-7 years ago with a multi-million-dollar business, I couldn't get a bank loan. Like, they were like, yeah, we can give you a line of credit. Just put your house up against it. I'm like, no, I have a ton of money in your bank right now. And they're like, but it doesn't make any sense. We don't understand it. So now that everybody sort of understands what this is and how it works and why it's valuable, we have this next phase of where we're going, which is upmarket, where I've always lived, by the way, more professionalized. And you better have a value add beyond, hey, I went out and got you 3 quotes for something. So there's so much change happening. And what happens when change is happening broadly? People want to hold on to what's familiar, what's comfortable, and what feels like has always been the safety blanket for them. The safety blanket's gone. It's been ripped off of all of us. It's been lit on fire and thrown in the dumpster. We all have to adjust and adapt and relearn some things right now. And I've been talking about this a lot. We have to start leaning into each other a little harder. We have to start playing favorites. You want a pet peeve of mine? I spoke about this last year at Alan Sandler's Partner Summit. I kind of picked on the channel folks in the audience of, hey, the way to my heart is to take me out for a T-bone steak or a tomahawk ribeye. And I was like, just kidding. I don't care about your steak. I care about people who understand my business and want to help see it grow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, I want you to really deeply think about it. And by the way, the questions I get asked, if I ever did it to my clients, I work with some of the largest companies around. If I walked in and said, why aren't you giving me more business? They would call security. I get that once a week. Why aren't you giving us more business, Dave? I'm like, why don't you know anything about my company or what drives us or what motivates us or how we get clients or how we go to market or what makes us special? So we've got to go actually all in with each other right now. The hyper transactional era of the channel's over, and I'm kind of here for it. I'm super excited. Somebody asked me this too, also in Vegas. Aren't you worried about all this chaos? I'm like, I am an agent of chaos. I thrive in these environments. Like, this is exactly where Dave is meant to be right now, in the middle, the eye of the hurricane. It's all going on around me, and I can see it so clearly where we're going next as a collective. And this is the exciting part. Everybody, I hope if you take one thing away from this, we are all just getting started. This is going to get so much bigger if we get the next couple of steps right. That's a big if. If we get the next couple of steps right. So I'll pause because I'm fired up right now.
You know what I heard in that, Dave, is something that is near and dear to my heart as well. Is that, you know, the attempts to buy market share, the transactional mindset, and you know, I give people a pass. Because quite frankly, Dave, we just didn't know any better. This is the way that the culture has been for a long time. And that's okay. I get it. Like we grew to where we are based upon that culture. However, now it's time for an evolution. We're hearing it. Listen, folks, you're hearing it straight from the Dave's mouth. Okay. Listen, you have to be able to provide more value. You got to understand your partner's business. And this is, Dave, I agree. This is one of the biggest gaps that I see. And it's my mission in the space is to educate suppliers, to educate channel managers how to be a better partner, right? And a big part of that is understanding how to do great discovery. So that sitting down with you and not just having some steaks and some whiskey and chopping it up about a whole bunch of superficial shit, but really understanding your business. And here's the important thing, Dave. Your business, not from the perspective of the product that you're selling, meaning that product that supplier's selling. Like if I sit down with you as a channel manager, I got to understand what's going on in your world. What do you really give a shit about? Because what you really give a shit about isn't my stuff. Yeah. It isn't. And if I can understand what success is to you, where your objectives are, and then weave myself into your success story, right? Help you to achieve those goals. That's how you're going to be. That's how we're going to be successful as channel managers and suppliers in the space. And that's something that, quite frankly, hasn't been done. I don't want to paint a broad brush, but I will pull out my goddamn roller and roll that shit across the screen right now. That's something that hasn't been done. No. And I'm hearing it from you. And I've been a partner. I've run multiple successful agencies for almost 20 years. I don't do that anymore. Now I consult but that is something that I never experienced. When I sat down with most channel managers and I said, hey, listen, if I'm going to invest resources into selling your product, my people, my money, what are you going to do? How are you going to help me to be successful? And more times than not, I got nothing. I got talk. And no real plan, it was, again, a lot of talk. And then, hey, commissions. Here's what we pay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are 1,000 companies that operate in the channel ecosystem right now.
And grow.
Just trying to buy market share based upon your commission is not a successful strategy anymore.
It is for a short time, but it gets you the wrong partners, by the way. It doesn't.
There you go.
It doesn't get you me. It doesn't get
you no partner loyalty.
It doesn't get you the Eclipses of the world, because we don't even take that seriously. Like we're asking a whole deeper series of questions. And so here's the good news and the bad news. You're laying it out. You're telling people, I'm telling people, there is a right way, and there's a path to being successful with a company like mine. And some of the other people who sort of live near the top of the ecosystem. The bad news is it's hard and it's a lot of work. And I think some people are afraid of that part of it. Like, you got to dig in with me. You got to come. You got to get to know us. You got to know what drives us. You got to know what drives our clients. So it's funny. I was sort of bemoaning this a while ago. I love telling this story. I was talking to my dear friend, Marco Spremo, ran a very successful business for 20 years on the West Coast, Teleprise. He sold it into the trend. It's part of one of the roll-up organizations now. And he's sort of out in the world again and doing some things. And I was talking to him. I said, I'm so frustrated. I've been at this 15 and a half years. And we have the logos people know. We have the big clients. Everybody sees those and they're like, we got to get in on Dave's clients. And I'm like, no, that's not how any of this works. And I'm like, but for 15 and a half years, I have been grinding, like breaking rocks over here, right? And my team grinds and we work so hard and nobody helps us grow but us. No one. Not the TSDs, not the vendors, not anybody is helping us grow. They're not helping me find my next opportunity, my next client. And I'm like, and it's bumming me out and I'm so sick of it. And I just want someone to like pay attention and care and help us grow. And Marco Spremo, my dear friend, he's like, Dice, you're missing the boat. I was like, what? He goes, you work in digital multi-level marketing. And I went to go at him. I was like, instinctively, that pissed me off so much. And I stopped for a minute and I stepped back and I took a beat on it. And I was like, then I want my fucking pink Cadillac. Because I have made a bunch of people a fortune in this business. And I just want someone to help me. And the only way you can help me is to get to know me and what drives us and what motivates us and what makes us tick. That's the only way you can actually help me. Not with MDF dollars, not with webinars, not with a steak dinner, for fuck's sake. But you can help me by getting to know me and what motivates me and why my clients choose to do business with me. There's only a small handful of us that are working in true enterprise size accounts, right? Why are those clients choosing to do business with the small committed band of pirates at Eclipse? Understand that, and you will understand so much about us and what makes us tick. And then by way of the virtue of you care about us and you're showing us that level of interest, we're going to probably sell some of your stuff down the line because we do sell a lot of stuff. So just get to know us. It's hard, though.
Okay, so let me break that down. Let me break that down to some actionable steps for you all that are listening to this. Because here's what you've been doing. What you've been doing is you will interview for X job. We'll call them Shorzy AI, right? You interview at Shorzy AI and you're like, hey, listen, or the first question that channel chief asks you is, who do you know? And then you say, well, I know Dave Dyson. And they're like, oh, okay, great. And then you get that job, right? And then you spend the next, 6 months calling up Dave and Dave clones. And you find that you're not getting that business, right? Those names that you got hired for, which, by the way, channel chiefs, leaders, that's a bullshit way to hire people.
Totally.
Okay. It just doesn't work anymore. And you don't believe me? Look at LinkedIn. Look at all the job transitions. It doesn't work. You can't, Dave just told you, you can't move him quickly like that. It ain't going to happen. So here's what I'm hearing. there's an opportunity. You're hearing it from the mouth of Dave. No one's doing this shit right. Okay. So you need to have a two-pronged approach to this, to building your business. One, if you've got loose relationships with someone like Dave, that is now a 12 to 18 month plan. Okay. You got to really get ingrained. You got to really start to do discovery, right? This is the long game. Okay. To be able to get in with someone like Dave. So two-pronged approach. There's that. And then the second part, which the vast majority of you are missing, is that you have to be able to develop new partners. And what does that mean? It means first, you got to be able to identify who your ideal partner is. Second, you got to have a plan for prospecting them. And lastly, you need to have a model for success for them. You can't just be like, what we've been expecting, Dave, for so long in our business is finished products, right? It's the take and bake cookies. All right. So we channel managers go out and they look for take and bake cookies. People, they can just, it's already mixed up. Boom, put it in the oven. Here comes the money. Nope. You got to give them the ingredients and you got to give them the directions. You got to be able to model that success for them. And you got to get in the trenches. So you got to have that two-pronged approach. The long term is, hey, truly building a relationship with the Daves of the world based upon real value. Okay. And the second part of that is understanding and having a great plan for developing new partners, not just exposing them to your product and telling them how much money they're going to make, but truly a plan that people can be plugged in to where they can be developed to success. Because Dave, you can relate to this. When I did my first deal in 2001 in this space, I did a deal for it was like a T1, right, with XO, and I think it was $600 or $700. And so went through contracting and got installed like 90 to 120 days later, because that's the way things work. All right. And then it had to go through billing and all that good stuff. And then come 7-8 months later, I got a check for like $60, $70, right? That's what it looked like back then. Today, it's a different world. As a supplier, if you go to market with an intelligent strategy where you're modeling success and you have a plan that helps partners to be successful and you can plug them into, they can start to generate money so much faster. Which, by the way, that's what you want, which means they're going to be sticky and they're going to stay in your program. They're going to have loyalty to your program. They can pay their bills much faster. Back when I started this business, shit, you needed 3 years to be able to pay your mortgage.
Yeah, same.
Can you relate to that, Dave?
Same. I call it my rose-colored rearview mirror. The couple of years where Mara and I didn't go out to a single dinner, like two people who like to go out and eat, and I was like, oh, it was so great. She's like, dude, we had no money. We were like eating ramen noodles again. No, it sucked. You just said three things, by the way, and channel vendor people, channel managers, channel leaders. Listen to this very clearly, because he touched on three things that I do, my team does when we go work with an enterprise client. One, ICP, we have an ideal client profile, which means we also say no to some people. And we say no. We say no at a top end up here. We say no at a bottom end down here. But we do say no because we want people who are ideal for us. Yep. That's thing number one. Understand who it is, which means you have to do research. Understand exactly what it is you're trying to do and who you're trying to target. The second is onboarding. You have a crucial moment when somebody crosses that bridge of trust and you earn their business, where now you have to execute and out-execute and over-execute. And in that onboarding sort of first 6 months, if you get that wrong, you're not keeping somebody long-term. Everything becomes transient, transactional. Maybe you get one win with us, but then we're done with you, right? And then the third is the life cycle. How are you managing the life cycle? Are you helping us proactively? Are you able to navigate your own organizations? Are you able to spot trouble coming down the road and warn us of it? Hey, we're having a lot of trouble. We just put a new system in and our implementations are going terribly right now. I know you're not supposed to be that honest and authentic, but if you do that, you're building trust with me and my team. My operations team, my project managers are going to be like, hey, they're warning of us of the bumps in the road coming, and that's actually super helpful to me. So those three things are things I do for our clients. My team does for our clients. You have to start treating us the same way. And no hard feelings if you come to us and you go, you don't fit in our ideal client profile. Our ideal partner profile, Dave, doesn't look like Eclipse. Cool. Love you. Move on. Right. Let's not try to be all things to all people, all of us. Let's get really focused and dialed in. And then when we dial in on somebody, like all the way together for longitudinal time, more than one meeting, more than one Zoom meeting, for Pete's sake, more than coming to the office with a tray of sandwiches. You got to do it for 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah. Yep. Dave, do you think that being all things to everyone, do you think that's an issue?
Oh my God, yeah. No. Here, let me put on my Dave's a hypocrite hat for a second, because going all the way back to 2009 when we started doing this thing, there was like no deal I wouldn't say no to. And when we first had an office, I would go meet with a new client. I was sort of the sales arm back in the day, and I'd come in and I'd have a big shit-eating grin on my face like I always do. And they'd say, Nikki, who used to work for me, she'd be like, "Oh God, what did you agree to, and what do we do now?" Like, and I'm like, well. We're now in this new particular sector because somebody said they had a problem. I was like, oh, we do that too. Like back when every dollar counted, but you want to know why we're so successful now at year 16? We stick to our knitting. We are in our categories. We are exceptional at them. We are expert at them. We are better than almost everybody else in the world at the things we do. And we say no to a whole bunch of other stuff.
There you go. Well, what I would say to you, Dave, is that what you did early on, if I was your consultant, I would say that was right, because you have to go through that process to identify who your ICP is. Now, if you're doing that same thing 10 years from now, you're a fucking idiot.
Yep.
Okay. And this is what I'm seeing right now a lot. And I think you would agree in our business, like people think that they are, I think by creating an ICP or an IPP model for your ideal partner, that you are somehow missing out on an opportunity. And I would say that by speaking to everyone, that's where you're missing out on an opportunity. Like, you need to be able to speak specifically to Dave. Like when you're doing your marketing, when you're doing your speeches and all those other things, like, are you resonating with that person who you're going to have the very best success with? Like I without breaking down your business, I already know that the reason you are successful is because you've built a business based upon your ICPs.
Yep.
Because what happens is it's magic when you focus on those clients that you are uniquely qualified to serve and deliver tremendous outcomes for. Guess what happens? They're happy. Guess what happens when they're happy? Well, you get more people like them. Yeah. They become non-payroll sales professionals and advocates for you. And you get better at serving that specific audience.
And then they change jobs and they hire you at the next place. So yep. Like all of that. So this is interesting too. This point can't be hit home hard enough. So our target is $500 million to $5 billion enterprise companies, multi-location, domestically or internationally. We don't focus on a specific vertical, but they have to have that layer of spend and complexity for us to be effective at what we do. So me saying that to you in the first meeting, if you're like, I work at a cybersecurity provider that focuses on 200 employee companies, Dave's not a fit, Eclipse is not a fit, move on, right? But what happens instead is I'm a new cybersecurity provider. I sign on with a TSD, and they're like, "Oh, you got to meet the guys at Eclipse." They sell to people like Jockey, who made my T-shirt here, a longtime client, right? They've got clients like Jockey and a bunch of others like that. And then they come in, they say, "I'd like to get in there," and then I'll say, "Do you service that marketplace?" Well, most of our clients are 200-300 employee places. We're a great like MSSP that focuses on that. Why are you calling me? Why are you wasting yours and my time right now? So like just doing that basic, and again, it's basic sales shit, by the way.
Yeah.
It's basic sales pre-qualification. This is somebody I want to be trying to further a conversation with. This is somebody I don't. And the more you value your own time, the more you're going to want to get to the people you can do a ton of business with. There's a bunch of people in the channel who focus on, 200 to 500 employee companies. Go find those cats and work with them and partner with them and get to know them deeply, and then go be successful together, all of you.
Yeah. To your point, I think that I'm going to look deeply into the camera, into the eyes of channel chiefs. Look at me. Look at me. What is happening right now is that you are wasting your time. Your employees are wasting time. You're spending 70% of your time kissing frogs trying to find princes. Okay, there's no real intelligence to your marketing, to your events, your attendees at events. You send people all over the world and all over the country, and they meet. They go to these events where there's just random partners there, and very often, very few people in those rooms are your ideal partner profile. Think about this. If you did it differently, how much money could you save? How much more efficient could you be? And it all comes back to this initial concept, Dave, that we keep talking about, which is the ICP or IPP, and not just the bullshit one that you have right now. But really getting holistic. And let me give you guys a cheat code on this. Here's how you build a great ICP or great IPP for ideal partner profile. Look at your most successful partners. Take 3 of them. Map it out. You'll have all of these through lines, and you can go onto our site, say Less Academy. There's an ICP tool there, but you'll see all these through lines. There's no coincidence why your most successful customers are successful and why your most successful partners are successful.
Totally.
You'll find that there's a whole bunch of connective tissue there and reasons why. Now, once you've been able to map that out, now you can scale it. It's as simple as that.
Ronell, we did that exercise somewhere about the 8-year mark of the journey that's now coming up on 16 years at Eclipse. We had all of these clients, and on the surface, they didn't seem to have a lot in common. Well,
Yeah.
Big law firm over here, logistics firm here, retailer here, manufacturers. But when we started looking for the through lines, man, were they there. Who buys from us and why? I can nail it down to a very scientific level. And I can also tell now, and my team has gotten very sophisticated about this, of knowing pretty quickly when someone isn't going to be a long-term partner. And here's the thing. We think longitudinally, like our average client tenure is like 8 years at this place. People work with us for a long time, and we have to identify quickly, are these the sort of people who want help in a project or a transaction? Or are these the sort of people who are looking for a partner over time? And there are things that people tip you off. And we were like, why? We have 17 different industries represented. But the through lines are so bold and dark and black that you can pull through.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you actually stop and do that exercise. And you have to do some deep analytics on it. It's not the thing that's surface level apparent. You got to go deep. You have to go deep.
Now, at the risk of self-promoting, which I don't care, it's my show, I'll self-promote. You need to bring in an expert to help you with that.
Totally.
Here's why. You are biased. You need someone that's unbiased to help walk you through that process so that you can truly identify where you are exceeding and not just meeting, but exceeding the needs of your partners and your prospects, and how you're really bringing value to the industry, and you've got to, or to your customer base. And so to get there, you need someone to walk you through it. Because again, we're all biased. It's like one thing I love about consultants and great consultants is, I always say this to my clients is, listen, I don't got to love your baby. Okay. It's not my child. What I need to do is make sure that your child grows up to be a productive citizen.
Yeah.
Right. So when you love your baby, like we're entrepreneurs, Dave, like it's such an emotional attachment.
Totally.
To your baby. And when you're not an entrepreneur, but you're working in an organization, you put your blood, sweat, and tears in that, you have these biases that are built in because you need to have them. You got to drink the Kool-Aid. You got to love your shit. But I don't. Even in
a like, I have an incredibly talented and very diverse and dynamic team. And we argue, we conflict, we have healthy conflict. We're always trying to solve it. And somebody asked me out in Vegas, what does it take to get a job at Eclipse? Because people will sometimes say, I want to come work for you. And I'm like, you have to be exceptional at what you do, one of the best. And it helps to be a little bit weird. We're all a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Because none of us think the way the traditional space works. And it makes us very dangerous because we're always thinking differently than everybody else. But is we are still capable of groupthink. And so we do bring outside counsel in regularly to make sure we're not all just nodding along with each other, because it might feel like we're conflicting, but we're maybe just agreeing in a thread and we're missing stuff that could otherwise be helping us grow and succeed. And different story for another podcast, but we are building a company that will be here 100 years from now, long after Dave is gone. Like, that's what's happening.
I love that.
And so if we're doing that, we have to occasionally get outside counsel to peek in. Don't self-diagnose, go to a doctor. Unless you're a car guy, don't fix your own car, take it to a mechanic. I tell my clients this, like, what a hypocrite I would be, because I'm going to these huge companies saying, use outside counsel who are experts, us. If I didn't do that in my own company, I'd be an idiot, because I believe in it and it's real. And I'm selling that very idea to multi-billion-dollar companies. Like, what a fool I would be to not take advantage of folks like yourself and say, hey, I'm going to bring somebody in whose sole purpose is to make us better and has no emotion in it and has no feelings tied up in it, and it's just going to be very objective. It's worth whatever you can pay for it.
Dave, you just said something that I love, and I'm going to always credit it to you, but you did it, and I love it. So you said self-diagnose, right? And here's where my brain went. How many of you can identify with this? You got something going on. Something's not feeling right or whatever, and so you go on to WebEMD and you're like, got this. And WebMD says, well, it could be this, or cancer. And you like, and you're like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? And you spiral, because you can't look at it objectively, like in that you're too close to it and you're too emotional. So, the same way when we're talking about our businesses, like, you need to bring someone else in that's qualified, that understands, and of course credible, that can diagnose, as opposed to going to I don't do WebMD anymore. I went down that.
Dude, I laugh about this still to this day. My mom, she's been gone for a while, over a decade, but was a hypochondriac to some degree. And back in the day, people might remember this, pre-internet, there was a big ass book that had flow charts in it. And it'd be like, I have a headache and a stuffy nose. And you go through this flow chart. Yes, no, yes, no. And it would always end up at like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Right? so that shit has existed for a long time. The internet just like supercharged it, right?
They just plugged it in, plugged that book in. So don't do that, guys. So Dave, we've spent time kind of focusing on the supplier side of the business and some areas of opportunity and growth for them, right? Understanding that ICP, how to better communicate and earn you as a partner, or someone like you as a partner. We talked about modeling for developing new partners and identifying partners. But I want to take a sec and speak to the partner, because in our world, like, depending on who you talk to, this year there will be somewhere between 2,500 to 5,000 new partners in this ecosystem. By partners, I'm talking about traditional agents, consultants, MSPs, people of that nature that suppliers would serve, people like you. So I would love if you could just share some wisdom with the next Dave. What are some things, if I could hop you in a time machine and go back and you could talk to yourself 15 years ago, what would you say? Give me a couple pieces of advice that you would give younger Dave in terms of how to succeed in this business.
So I would do a couple of things if I could jump in my hot tub time machine here and go back. One is I would very calmly say, "Hey man, it's all going to be okay," because sometimes it doesn't feel like it is going to all be okay. And when we throw things like a global pandemic on the bingo card and it feels like the world is ending, like in that moment, to know it was going to all be okay would have been good. I'm in a fun position, Ronell. This business has been amazing. It's been abundant. It has helped me create a life beyond my wildest imagination for myself and others around me. And so I'm in the fun spot where I'm at the top of the hill and I'm starting the long, slow walk down now. And I spend almost all of my time mentoring the younger folks on my team, helping them get to where they're going next, and others outside the industry, including people who are just getting started on the journey I'm on. And I always say this.
Yeah.
I have a list of like 5 things if you're going to build a company. And by the way, anyone who knocks a lifestyle business where somebody just is an agent who makes a ton of money, don't listen to their shit. If you want to do that, go do that. I wanted to build a company. So I built a company. I've got a list of like 5 things you should absolutely be doing if you want to build a company, even if you're solo at the moment. And then I have like a old school phone book of things not to do. And you know, the not to do category is like there's a list of common mistakes that we all make building these businesses that if we all just talked a little more and we're a little more open with each other, we can help the younger folks avoid some of the pitfalls. One of them is this: you're going to start growing. I'll just pick an anecdotal good one because everyone makes this mistake. You're going to start growing and be like, I need a salesperson. I can't be the sole salesperson anymore. And you're going to hire the cat with the Rolodex who comes from the carrier world or whatever. And they're going to be like, I know all these people, looked at my LinkedIn connections. I've got so many people who love buying from me, but they came from a big carrier and they never developed authentic and real relationships. And they were good at getting people to buy the big carrier. And they come into your shop and they absolutely fizzle out because they don't have real and meaningful, deep connections with those people like they thought they did.
Wow.
And you're going to make that mistake as an entrepreneur who eventually starts, growing into building a sales force. There are ways around that mistake, and there are ways to avoid that mistake, and there are hiring practices to avoid that mistake. So that's the sort of stuff like, again, seek that outside counsel from the wise and elders like myself or people who are doing it professionally who are going to help you steer clear of those landmines because they're everywhere. But yeah, man, like the simple thing of, man, it's going to be okay. Like this business, I talk about this a lot. We have this like horrible survivor's bias thing where we're like, everybody who starts in the channel ends up being super successful. And it's just not true. Oh, yeah. And the people who fail are the ones who don't start asking for help right away. Go ask for help, seek counsel. When you can afford it, start paying for outside counsel and help as well. Get a coach, get a guy like Ronell if you're on the supplier side to help you shape your program. But a lot of people like myself are willing to jump in and help for free if you're willing to give back and have a synergistic relationship. So go ask for help.
Yeah, Dave, you said something that I think needs to be restated, which is that, and you didn't say this exactly, but I'm paraphrasing, the failure rate in our business is extremely high. Okay. I just said there's somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000-ish, partners that'll be added to the ecosystem this year. You guys want to know why? It's because at the top, they know the numbers. Yeah. They know how many are going to actually shake out and be successful in the space. So they have to build their business plans. I'm talking about our TSD friends out there. They got to build their plans around bringing in a number, a gross number that will trickle down to a net number of actual successful partners in the space. Exactly. So there's not going to be 5,000 that are crushing it. There's going to be maybe 10% of that are going to shake out and still be doing this regularly in the following year. Would you agree?
Not only agree, the data backs that up. Many people come in, sell 1 or 2 deals, and then disappear off the face of the earth. And people who,
which is fine too. Yeah. Like I've said in this, listen, there's different ways to be successful in this space. And this is another reason why, Dave, it's so important to do your ideal partner profiling as a supplier, because listen, we have different models of success, and I'm not going to talk shit about any of them. They're all just different levels of success. Like you said, there's the lifestyle guy. Okay. And then there's the company guy like you and like me. That's what I was building, is companies. And then there's the guy that comes in and just, hey, listen, I made an extra couple of grand a month. I'm good. Yeah. Right. And there's nothing wrong with either of those models. Those are all successful models in our space. But if you haven't done the work to identify not just which one of those models works well with your program, but once you drill that down and you're like, okay, I'm the company guy, and then understanding, okay, there's levels to that shit as well. You're just going to be, you probably, if you're new into the space, you're probably going to be here. Actually, before I say, I want to ask you, because you've seen so much, and I know you can give great insight on this. So there are roughly I'm not going to let the cat out the bag in terms of TSDs and the amount of suppliers in their portfolio, because they don't like to talk about that openly. But I will say that I know there's around 1,000 companies in the ecosystem. Some of them are full on with TSD. Some of them don't have TSD relationships. Anyway, there's around 1,000, and it seems to be a never-ending new resource, because why not? If I'm a software company, I'm like, oh shit, I don't have to pay people until they actually sell something. I don't have to pay salaries and insurance and all the others, and retirement and all the other shit. Yeah, our world looks attractive, but we see this revolving door of them coming in and going right back out.
Yep.
Okay. So let's speak to the would-be supplier in the space, or the new suppliers in the space, as the guy that, again, they all want to do business with you. Give them some advice for launching a successful program. What are those things they should be looking at as they're getting into the space and they should prepare for?
Oh my goodness, what a great question. So there's a couple of things in my mind. One is, what you're being promised by the folks who are pulling you into their portfolio is like instant success and access to tons of, partners who are going to go sell your stuff tomorrow, right? And the reality is the channel as a giant organism moves very deliberately. There's the folks like myself and my company, we're sort of a scouting party. We will try interesting new things and new tech, and we'll workshop it and we'll figure it out. We were one of the first people to be selling cloud UCaaS in the entire country, for instance, right? And then that thing exploded. So we move as a big organism, and when things start to work, we'll all move together. So here's the thing. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to convince a company like mine to sell your stuff overnight. Unless you have some like world-beating tech that nobody else has, you're going to like get our attention. But there's 10 of every category in the channel, right? So nobody's doing anything so unique that they're the must sell, must have it in my portfolio. Again, the hard part, you have to commit to a long period of time. So the people who are telling you you're going to have all this money coming in within 6 months are not telling you the exact truth. You might catch a bluebird, or you might catch one big deal, but you're not going to have that flywheel of success happening until probably sometime in year 2. And that's if you do all the little blocking and tackling stuff along the way, get to know the partner community, invest in the partner community, show up, educate, connect your people to ours, figure out how we can grow together. So it's a lot of work. I always point to him. He's getting ready to. He just announced his retirement. Zane Long, who ran the channel at Ring Central, could sometimes be a bit of a polarizing figure in the space, but he did something very interesting for many, many years with that Ring Central program. He kept it the same. He was consistent. I'm going to say that word one more time: consistency. This is what it is. This is what it isn't. Year after year after year after year. And then you go look at that publicly traded companies, 10K guys, 85% of all of their billion plus revenue every year comes from this particular channel, because they have been consistent, and we value consistency. We want to see somebody staying down the middle of the road. If you come in and splash back out, guys like me get validated. Like a lot of times, I don't even want to talk to a new participant until they have been in the channel for like a year, Ronell, because people come flying in, they buy the platinum sponsorship, the diamond sponsorship at TSD, A, B, or C, and then they're left a year later going, we had no ROI on that money. We got to get out of here. And the ROI was just on the other side of the wall that they were about to break through is the thing they didn't see. And so, yeah, you have to be consistent. You got to be patient. You have to educate. You have to connect to and invest in the IPP that you've been talking about and I've been talking about. Again, the shitty part is it's a lot of work. There's no easy button. And I hate that people sell this channel as the easy button to the vendor community. Yeah. Come on in. We're going to hit the easy button. Everyone's going to be selling your stuff tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. All right. Dave, I could do this with you for like hours. As this has been so much fun, but we got to bring it home. So I have one last question for you, piece of advice. So like for that same audience, the emerging supplier in the space, I have some pretty strong opinions around like hiring practices. Like right now, the way that they hire, a lot of it is, okay, let's go find somebody that has experience in the space. And so, they hired someone who was a channel manager, make them channel chief and all that sort of thing. And some of the questions that they usually ask in hiring people I referenced early on, which was, who do you know? If you're speaking to a channel chief right now and saying, hey, listen, these are the qualities that I value and what you should be looking for out of people that you hire and bring in to grow your program, what would those things be?
Oh man, another awesome question. Man, you might have a career in this, Ronald.
I've done this a time or 1,000.
So a couple of things. Don't fall for the thing you said earlier, the retreads who are like, I know these 50 people and I'm going to get them selling our stuff. There's a category of people, I'm better than average with names and faces, but there's a category of people when I see them like once a year at Vegas or whatever, I look at their golf shirt first to see where the hell they're working. I'm not looking at their name badge. I know who they are, but I got to see where they're working first. Oh, tell me about your new company that's different than the one from last year. Look out for the retreads, right? And what you need to do is get people who have a demonstrable sort of sales bone in their body, because it is a selling job. We don't treat it as such. We treat it as a professional, like, let me take you golfing and out to lunch, man or woman. But in reality, it's a sales job. That person is convincing me. I got a bunch of super smart people working for me. You're going to come in and like tell me your AI thing is better than sliced bread. You have to explain it to the smart guys behind me. And if they're calling bullshit, you're done. You're probably not even getting a second meeting with us. So you got to hire a sales competency there when you're out. Don't just get the people who are like, oh, I've been in the channel 20 years and I know Ronell and I'm gonna get him selling your stuff because I got him selling at the last place. When in fact, the last place maybe had a value prop that had nothing to do with that person. And we were selling a ton of it because the tech was right for our customer space or something, right? So people are the hardest part. It's my hardest part. It's the vendor's hardest part. It's everybody's hardest part is getting the right people. What I look for in a great channel manager is the thing we've been talking about in our through line through all of this conversation. They are committed to deeply understanding my business and what makes it different and what makes it tick. And if you've been working with me for 6 months and you can't explain the differentiators in my business, you're probably not going to be successful with us. You might be successful elsewhere. The people who bother to learn to navigate their own organizations, you may take a new job, but one of your things, if you're a channel manager, you should be like desperately learning where all the bodies are buried in your organization and who to call when problems need to be fixed. Those are the people that are valuable. I hate to say this because it gets me fired up more so than I usually am. But like, there's a bunch of people like me, awesome entrepreneurs who built amazing companies, and we settle for like this being excellent. They return a phone call, like table stakes shit. They return an email, they answered a question, they return a call. Like, work with the same urgency we work with when we're trying to service our clients. That's all we ask in return, and that's what excellence looks like. And I'm passionate about it because we're succeeding together and we're failing together. And this is a rising tide moment. I said this to somebody and it bummed them out, and it made me so excited in Vegas. We are a flea on a blue whale of the $1 trillion IT ecosystem that spends $1 trillion a year. The channel is this tiny little thing still. If we grow by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, it becomes this era of abundance that none of us could have ever imagined. Like, we have so much room to run right now. Yep. We just have to get the next couple of things right.
Love it. And getting to those next couple of things. And that's where I will bring you back full circle, give some credit to the folks that have come into our space and forcing in some ways the level of skill, forcing upskilling, forcing some levels of professionalism that we desperately need if we're going to become more than just that flea or that tick that's on the well. So, Dave, this has been just an amazing conversation, and I always feel so much more energized and enthused after we speak, and I hope that our audience feels the same way. Your level of candor, your level of just authenticity, it jumps off the screen. And so, again, I just appreciate you for hanging out with me and kicking off this show. For those of you that have giving us your time today. Man, thank you. Thank you. There's some hard conversations that happen on this show and that will happen on our future shows. And what's important to know is that it doesn't come from the perspective of just wanting to be polarizing. It comes from a desire to lead and to help to continue to evolve this industry. So the people that you'll be hearing on this show, like Dave, these are people that are friends that I've reached out to personally, and I understand that they are courageous, that they are not afraid to say the things that need to be said and give us our medicine so that we can grow and continue to thrive. Dave, I love that this industry has been so good to you. You always say that, and that's where your altruism comes from, because you have this respect for what you've been able to accomplish and how good the industry has been for you. But you also understand that, in order for us to get to this next level, it's going to take your leadership and the leadership of others to bring us to that next level. Dave, my friend, you are amazing. And next time you're down in my neck of the woods in the van, just call me up. We'll go have that bourbon.
You got to be careful with that shit, because I will show up in your driveway, and then you're gonna have to explain it to the family. I
got one of those extra wide ones where there's an RV pad to the left. I have no RV, but that will be reserved for you, my friend.
Oh, man, I appreciate you and everything you do to be a guiding and leading voice in the industry. You are amazing. Thank you for having me on. This was fun, and man, we might have to do episodes 2 through 10. We're going to fill a lot of space. You and I get going like this.
I know, Dave. I know. Like I said, I can go for 3, 4, 5 hours, but I don't know that our audience can. So again, thanks audience for hanging in with us. Thanks, Dave. We will see you on the next episode. If you enjoyed this, please make sure that you're sharing. Make sure you subscribe, let others know what we're doing over here. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in to Shut the Hell Up and Sell Unfiltered. If you found today's conversation valuable, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the show. For more resources, including gap assessments, custom sales consulting, or online courses designed to take your sales game to the next level, visit me at ronelrichards.com or head over to sayless.academy. Until next time, remember, stop talking, start listening, and shut the hell up and sell.
Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Yeah.